Thank you for stopping by Ballistic Barbecue. On today's video, I'm going to be making homemade bourbon bologna. Let's get going. So to kick this video off, the first thing we are going to do is grind the meat. I have here 10 pounds of top round that I've chopped up into more manageable pieces. And I have my meat grinder all set up. All the metal parts I stored in the freezer overnight. So the auger, the blade, the dies, everything. And I'm using the large die for this first part of the process. There's a few steps involved here, but it's well worth it. So we're gonna kick this off by grinding the meat. And there we are. $10 pounds of ground top round. I'm going to cover this with cellophane, get it in the refrigerator, keep it cold. Whenever you're making sausage, you really need to keep everything cold. I'll be back. Okay, now we are going to put together the spice blend and the cure. And this recipe comes from a restaurant in Louisville, Kentucky called the Gralehaus. And I saw this on an episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. However, all the bourbon stuff going on came out of this demented brain. But I'll have a link to the Gralehaus down below, and I'll have the entire recipe posted in the description box. Anyway, let's get going here. I have here 85 grams of non-fat powdered milk. For this recipe, you're going to need a scale, and those electronic scales, you can actually get them for pretty cheap. I have here 66 grams of kosher salt, 36 grams of dextrose, 12 grams of pink cure, and I'm using Prague powder number 1, 7 grams of ground black pepper, 6 grams paprika, 4.5 grams ground nutmeg, 2 grams garlic powder, 2 grams ground coriander. So get this going here. And that is looking good. Now we're going to move on to the wet ingredients. Now for their recipe, they are using 1.5 cups of ice water. I mixed it up a little bit, and I think you guys will dig it. So I'm going to use a cocktail shaker. Cocktail shaker's got some crushed ice in it. So what I'm going to do is add 1 cup of water. This has been in the refrigerator overnight. 1/2 cup of bourbon. Again, it was refrigerated overnight. I'm using Jack Daniels. Get this shaken up. So now we're going to add this entire 1.5 cups of liquid here. All right, let's get this mixed. We're going to mix it into a paste, fairly thin paste. Okay, that looks good. Let's move on to the next step. Transferred all this meat into a larger tub so we can mix things up. And again, this stuff's ice cold. It just came out of the fridge. This is still very cold. So we're going to go ahead and pour this liquid into the meat mixture here. And we're just going to get in there with the hands and get it all mixed up. Okay, it's thoroughly mixed. It's becoming very tacky. I'm going to place this back in the fridge, and I want to keep it in there for 12 to 24 hours. So I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow. We'll finish making this bourbon bologna. And again, it's smelling really good. See you guys tomorrow. So it's been about 22 hours, and this is what we're left with here. We're ready to move on to the next step. So I have here a disposable aluminum tray, and going to go ahead and start laying out this meat into the tray. And I am done. Basically 1 and almost 1/2 of a whole tray here. Now what I'm going to do is just sort of cut this right down the middle here. And cut it lengthwise in sections. Now I'm going to cover these trays with foil, put them in the freezer, and I'm going to partially freeze these. I'm not going to freeze these things stone hard. See you in a bit for the next step. All right, so it's been about an hour or so, and we're done. It is not frozen, but it's firmed up. And you'll also notice that the slices are now thinner. Right before I put them in the freezer, I realized I needed to cut them thinner, because what we're going to do is drop this into my grinder, and the way they were just a little too thick. So anyway, let's get going on this. So here's what we have. And there we go. Look at that. Unbroken strands. This thing is continuous. Next step is the fun stuff. We're going to start stuffing some casings. I have my sausage stuffer all set up, ready to go. And I'll show you the casings I'm going to be using. These are red fibrous casings. They are 7.5 inches by 24 inches long, and they will hold 6.5 to 7 pounds of sausage. And what I did was I broke up that big mound of meat into 2 5-pound servings, basically. So I'm going to make 2 5-pound bolognas. That's a lot of bologna. I'm full of bologna. Anyway, let's get going here. Oh, one other thing. So again, these are the red fibrous casings. They will take smoke. They're actually designed with smokers in mind. And one of the things you have to do in order to prepare these for stuffing is soak them in water for about 30 minutes. And I went ahead and soaked mine in bourbon. So again, we're going to get a little bit more bourbon going on in there. So first thing I'm going to do, stuff this canister here. There we go, that's 5 pounds. Let's get this casing on the horn here, and I'm using the biggest horn that my sausage stuffer came with. Go to the end. We're going to hold on tight here. I want to get the sausage in there with a lot of pressure because I really want to fill up this casing here. Nice tight twist here. What I'm going to do is tie on some butcher's twine. And there we are, 5 pounds of bologna. I'm going to stuff that other casing off camera. Then I'll meet you guys outside. We're going to get that smoker set up for this cold smoke. See you outside. Okay, for the next step of this cook, we are going to cold smoke that bologna at 100 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. And we're going to be using the Lone Star Grill's offset vertical for that, and I'm going to show you how I have it set up for that very low temperature cook. So as you can see, I'm using that charcoal basket with the dividers for that kind of snake burn, and I don't have a whole lot of charcoal. I'm just using regular old Kingsford blue bag, and it's about 2 briquettes high going throughout the entire snake. Very small amount. I mean, it's probably 19 or 20 briquettes lit. Just going to get these going right here at the end. For the beginning, I guess. We're going to put some wood chunks in. I have cherry here. For that added effect, I have some Jack Daniel's barrel chips. Throw those in. We're going to start out with this open just a bit, a couple fingers width, I guess. Chimney stacks are going to be fully open. Now let's set up the actual cook chamber. Okay, this is a technique I've done with much success on my horizontal offset, and first time doing it on the vertical, but I don't think there's going to be any issues at all. This thing has been rocking the temps. So I have that bottom grate removed right now, and I'm going to add this about between 12 and 15 pounds of ice. I know it's going to melt, but it's going to take a lot of energy to melt it, and it's going to keep that temperature down. If I have to add more ice, I will, but I have one more little addition that's going to, again, help keep those temps down. All right, I'm going to get that bottom shelf back in. I have here a disposable roasting pan, and I've poked about 6 holes on the bottom. Put that right here. Now I'm going to start dialing that heat. Okay, the pit's stabilized. It's at 105. I'm not going to complain about that. Let's get these bolognas hung here. So first time getting to use my sausage hangers. I have my Maverick, the probe hanging right there, like at bologna level. Let me get the bologna away so it's not touching. I'll use that bologna to, there you go, perfect, check it out. So again, low, we're going 100 degrees, we're going for 1 hour, and then I'll move you on to the next step. It's gonna be fun. All right, so we're at the 1 hour mark now. Pit's been running great. It's been running 110 to 115, totally acceptable. Again, I'm still learning this pit's personality. I could have put less charcoal in. Instead of 2 layers of briquettes, I could have went with 1 layer and half the charcoal basket because it's hardly burned any of that charcoal in there. Anyway, let's check it out. So obviously those casings that I've used are red, so it's not looking much different, but the ice looks smoked. So next thing we're going to do is go ahead and put it in a water bath. So we're going to leave this in the water bath for 30 minutes. Then I'll meet you guys inside the house where we're going to finish the cooking process. I just took bologna out of its ice bath and we are ready for the next step of the cooking process. And we are going to be using an immersion circulator. Dan, keep your hands off that thumbs down button. If you don't have an immersion circulator, there's a way around it, and I'll have instructions down below using a pan of water and your oven. We have this running at 155 right now. The bolognas, is it bolognas or bologna, have been packaged in a vacuum seal bag. We are getting ready to seal these guys up. And then I'm going to show you something that's kind of cool. All right, we are ready to sous vide. Now, the chef owner of Gralehaus, he basically in the recipe he posted suggested 2 hours, and you're trying to reach 155 degrees internal on the bologna. I'm using much bigger cases than he used, so I want to make sure that I hit 155. Now, if I didn't have what I'm about to show you, what I would do is probably just double the time. 2 hours to 4 hours. I'm using this is a thermal and this is their sous vide kit, so to speak. So I have here what they call sous vide tape, which is basically a real dense foam with an adhesive on one side. So just simply remove the adhesive and stick it to your vacuum seal bag. You take the needle, the probe basically, and insert it right in the center here. Now I will be able to monitor the internal temp of this bologna or whatever you're cooking, and the seal's not compromised, the vacuum seal. So go ahead and get this in the immersion. And second one in the immersion. All right, so again, if I didn't have the thermal rocking, I would cook this for 4 hours, but we'll see what I can get away with here. I'm hoping it's going to be less than 4 hours. See you guys when it's done. Well, my bologna just hit 155 and it ended up taking 4 hours. So next step, we're pulling the bologna out of this immersion. We're getting it into an ice bath again, and I'm going to bring that temperature down from 155 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Once we hit 110, I'll be removing these chubs from the vacuum sealed bags, and we're going to bloom these. So basically I'll blot the outer casings dry, and we're going to hang them from this. This is just a piece of PVC pipe. This will be placed between two back-to-back chairs with a towel underneath. And you could bloom these for a few hours overnight. I'm actually going to bloom these overnight. So they're going to hit the chairs, and then when I wake up in the morning, I'll put them in the refrigerator. And what this is going to do is it's going to help develop the color a little bit more and bring in a lot more flavor. And by shocking these in that ice water bath, it'll eliminate any chances of it shriveling up on us. So anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, so the process is now complete. It's the next day. Again, I bloomed it last night. This morning I put it in the fridge. Now I'm home and we're going to try this out. This is one of the Bolognas. Obviously, I'm not going to unwrap both of them, but let's give this a look here. There we go. Looks like bologna. Smells really good. Kind of has that summer sausagey kind of a smell. Let's go ahead and slice some slices here. All right, first thing I'm going to do is try a piece that's not been fried, just like you would an old school bologna sandwich when we were kids. Yeah, it's really good. So I'm just going to lay down some clarified butter here. The old Ballistic griddle. Got some brioche buns. Apply a little butter to these. Put some cheddar on this, the bottom bun here. A little bit of water right there. Dome it. Take one of my rings. Some more butter. Cracked egg. More water. Now at the Gralehaus they use a sunny side up egg. I don't like sunny side up eggs. I like over easy or over medium eggs, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, let's start building the sandwich. Those bologna slices down. Get that egg, again, over medium here. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Some hot sauce. This is habanero hot sauce. Now the Gralehaus, they're using baby mustard greens. I don't have any baby mustard greens, so I'm going with baby arugula, which has that peppery taste. I think it'll be a good substitute. Go ahead and top it. Let's give her a slice. There we go. Gorgeous. Let's try this out. That is just really pretty. Well, as I expected, that frying definitely wakes up that bologna. It is come alive here. Getting some of that bourbon, but honestly, I think next time, and there will be a next time, I'm going to go 50-50 with the water and bourbon. I'm going to pump the bourbon up a little bit more. I don't know how much soaking the casings in bourbon helped, so I probably won't do that again. But the bourbon inside, definitely, I dig on that. I think I might add a little, like maybe some allspice to the mix here. But really good, good stuff. The other thing I think I'm going to do different, actually I know I'll do different, is I want to do this recipe but only smoke it throughout, 100% smoke, instead of the immersion. I think, I'm thinking back on this recipe. It's a restaurant recipe, and I'm sure they're just grinding these things out, and they're serving it daily. So I think I want to just give it a little bit more love with the smoke. Again, I did this to their recipe. At the very least, I think I should have smoked it in 1 more hour just to give it just a little bit more smoke. But it's a good recipe. I'm digging it. And with the brioche bun, it's a good sammer. Anyway, thanks guys for stopping by. I appreciate it. Let me see, what's my beer today? Today is another San Diego beer. It's Loma Land, and it is Modern Times, and it is a bright rustic saison. And I don't have a glass to pour it in, so I'm rocking it old school out of a can. Anyway, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Keep those suggestions coming in. Cheers.